Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Liz. I'm at Glow Diaries on Instagram, pretty much all social media platforms. I have been doing a 100 recipes in 100 days challenge, pretty much focused on growing my Instagram audience. I'm a foodie, I'm a recipe creator, I make plant-based recipes, and I started the challenge at like 220,000 followers, but my account had been quite stagnant. I'd got most of that growth. It was between, oh my God, I want to say it was like early 2022 that I got a lot of growth where my account had grown from 12,000 followers up to, initially it went up to like 120, and then I had another big spurt of growth in early 2023. So I didn't really have any growth. Actually, it went backwards probably in 2023 for me, or maybe it grew by like 10,000 followers in the year of 2023 because I had a baby and I was really mostly just adjusting to that new lifestyle. Any new mums will know how hard that is. And I was having a little bit of I don't want to say an identity crisis, but I got a lot of mixed feedback about sharing baby content, and I was struggling to figure out how I could like integrate, sharing about my life, and also continuing to kind of do the foodie thing on Instagram. Anyway, I felt very much like it was not wanted by my audience to talk about like baby stuff, which is fine, I guess. But then I also just felt like I didn't really have anything to say anymore on my stories, because I used to just talk quite candidly about like, what was going on in my day, and my whole day was basically just baby management and taking care of my son. So I just didn't really feel like I had anything to talk about that would be of interest to like my existing audience. And that really started to do my head in for a while, to the point where I just stopped posting very much to stories at all. I felt like a bit disconnected, I guess, from the Instagram account. And I don't know, I think I have a lot of imposter syndrome with this. So if you feel that way sometimes too, you're not alone. And I don't know, I was questioning this year what I actually do with the account and like how I kind of reinvigorate it, because I was starting to feel like pretty shit about myself and about the account, to be honest, because it had grown initially to like, 224,000. And then for like a few months there, it was just going backwards. My engagement had really dropped. I used to consistently get, like when I had first had that big follower growth from like that 12,000 mark to like 120,000 mark, back in 2022, I'd had a few videos go viral. And, but then I found that, even just a regular video that didn't necessarily go viral, it would always still get like around, 100, 200,000 views. And it would always get like at least like 1,500 likes or something like that. And, gradually over like the course of 2023, my video performance just was so variable. Like some videos would get, like, it sounds like silly to say, but like, 700 likes if I posted them at 6:30 p.m. And then the time I would open it the next day, it wouldn't have hit 1,000. And I just started to feel kind of insecure, and that it was a fluke that I had grown even in the first place. And that I didn't really know how to like make good content anymore. And it started to feel like it was embarrassing to have such a large follower count, like of 200,000 odd people, and for my videos to be like flopping. Like I just felt like every time I posted, I got in my own head about it, to the point where I would almost like procrastinate on posting or making any new content, because I was insecure about the results of that. And I was like, oh my God, people are going to think that I bought my followers. Like people are going to think that I'm such a phony. Sorry, there's a train line out the front of my house. Anyway, I was actually like in a really like shit mindset with the whole thing. I just felt like I was treading water, and I really had lost a lot of direction. Brand deals, that's how I make, I guess, money online. I do make money from my website as well by directing traffic to my website, but the majority of my income as an influencer comes from brand sponsorships and like product placement effectively in videos. And I, was just not getting very many inquiries because I wasn't posting very much. And then I felt, it was just like this vicious cycle, I suppose. And then I felt worse because I was like, I'm not even getting any brand inquiries. So like, that kind of was this like reaffirming thing in my head where I didn't, know what I was doing, or like I didn't add enough value, and that it was all a fluke that I'd even got these followers in the first place, and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, so I wasn't feeling too crash hot about how everything was going on Instagram. or just in general, even though after having my son, I had been pretty certain, like in the lead up to me having my son, which was in March 2023, I should say, in the lead up to having Oliver, things had been going really, really well for my page. Like it had grown, as I mentioned, from like there'd been this initial burst in 2022 up to around 120,000 followers. And then I think it was like between January and March when he was born, I grew again by like, maybe like another 100,000, and it had gone up to like 220. I could be getting the numbers a little off here, but that seems about right. I did like a little cameo on a TV show. Like I did like all this cool stuff that I felt like there were just so many opportunities, and I felt like I was like kind of riding a wave, and my engagement was really amazing at that time. And I felt like I could pretty much post anything on Instagram and it would perform well. Like just, it could be totally random. Like I would do like what I eat in a day and they would work, like not even a recipe kind of thing. I felt like I had a really supportive community and a lot of people who would message me, and I would chat to them in DMs, and like I felt quite confident, I guess, at that point. But went on maternity leave, had my son, lots of hormonal changes, all that personal stuff aside. Like it's very like intense having a baby. Your whole life and your whole world changes. I felt like nobody, because I got some shitty DMs saying that I looked old, that I was boring, people didn't want to hear about my baby, and I really let those I took them to heart too much, and it stopped me from sharing about my life, as I was saying earlier, and I felt just really stifled, I guess, and like I lost direction. I was pretty clear that I wasn't totally clear. I thought that I like deep down in my heart, I've always wanted to work for myself. And I saw this kind of maternity leave period as my opportunity to prove to myself that I could, earn enough money that maybe I wasn't replacing my corporate job's salary that I'd had before I went on maternity leave, but certainly wanted to use it as like a little mini business case to myself that like, oh, this is what I could be earning if I didn't go back to work. And I like the idea of this flexible lifestyle and yada, yada. But that also put a lot of pressure on me, because it was like, not the right time to be focusing on, building this content creation and like influencer career when you're trying to adjust to being a mom. Like I really didn't set myself up. I really wasn't being fair to myself, I guess, like putting that pressure on at the time then. But anyway, I don't know, sorry, this is like way too much of a backstory, much more than I intended to go into. But anyway, had a pretty mediocre year. Follower count sort of was just like going backwards every single day. I was losing like 50 followers a day net, like 100 followers a day net, videos increasingly not performing. And then eventually it rolled around to about April 2024. I had written a book manuscript for the last few months of 2023 and early 2024. And then I was like, cool, I'm going to focus on Instagram again. And hopefully feel better about myself in the process, because I was like just in a bit of a loss is what to do with it. Like I really wanted to like become like a proper blogger in my head, like a proper food blogger, and I'd been focusing on doing like SEO stuff and like these behind the scenes things a bit more that didn't involve me putting myself out there so much. I think because I felt like I was like I'd retreated a little bit, like I was licking my wounds a bit. I had felt the backlash, I suppose, of being quite open and sharing a lot. And I think that was why I was more interested in like doing less, personality forward kind of content. And so I felt like I've been hiding a little bit. And I caught up with my friend, Cezzy Brown, who's another food creator. And, we've known each other since we were both at like 10,000 followers. Our accounts grew around the same time in 2022. So I've been on this journey together, and she was also feeling like a bit bleh about Instagram at the time, but she was like, look, I'm going to do a 100-day challenge where I post a reel every single day, like a recipe every single day. And I was like, whoa, I just handed my book manuscript like a couple of weeks prior. And she was like, you should do it as well. And I was like, oh, like, I don't think so. Because I'd just done this one big push of like, finishing this book manuscript. And I was really not keen to dive into like another big project. And my first reaction was like, whoa, like 100 recipes is a lot. And then she was like, yep, but I've already got 7 like done. It's going to be great kind of thing. She was like really positive about it. And I like kind of warmed up to the idea as I saw her do it, because it was so cute. She messaged me like, it must have been like a week later or 5 days later or something. And she was like, oh my God, Liz, like I posted the first video. I think you really just need to copy this format. Like it works so well. She got like, I think 500,000 views on TikTok overnight, like 30,000 new followers or something like that. And then the original video that she posted as well on Instagram too, it didn't blow up like as quickly as the one on TikTok did, but it was like, it picked up a lot and it's got like 500,000 likes or something insane on it now. And it grew her account by like, I think it was like 100,000 followers in one day or something crazy like that. And she's so sweet because she's not at all like gatekeeping. Sorry, the light's flickering a bit there. I don't know how to make that stop. We'll just have to live with it. But yeah, she does not gatekeep at all. She was just like, I think you just need to copy this format and like do it. And it's pretty much, the format is day 0. You start with like this vulnerable story about something that you have struggled with. And you connect that to your, next 100 days of posting somehow. And basically tell people about yourself, be vulnerable with them, create that sense of connection quite early on, and then get them to follow. And she actually suggested to me, she was like, why don't you talk about like the shitty DMs and stuff that you got, but when you became a mom? Like, she's like, you could talk about that. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that really relates to food. Like, what relevance does it have? And I was just in my own head a little bit about it for quite a while. And it took me like, I want to say like 2 months after like we had caught up for lunch before I actually did it. And it took me, I want to say like it could have been 6 weeks of like actually thinking about what recipes I was going to post and feeling comfortable enough that I did have enough of a buffer of content that I wasn't going to get caught out, because I obviously have a baby, and if you have a kid, and like Oliver at the moment, like he's in childcare, he gets sick all the time, like, and I get sick, Steve gets sick, my husband, and it's just, I never have a feeling of confidence that I can actually, like, there's no guarantee that I'm actually going to be able to work on any given day, because I could just get a call like in 2 minutes now from childcare being like, oh, you got to come pick him up. Or like we've had gastro twice in like 5 months. Like, it's just disgusting. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I really didn't want to be in a stressful mindset while I was doing this challenge, because I'd just gone through that with a book where I left it too late. I procrastinated on it for a while, and it was very stressful getting that done towards the end. My husband, Steve, he had also gone through a stressful period at work with this big project, and I just didn't want to like be in that mindset again. So gave myself a really long time. Actually had 18 videos built up before I started the challenge, which in hindsight was probably a bit too much, because I think when you do it, you want to have a bit of flexibility around like seeing what's working and what's not, and like slotting some things, moving things around a little bit. And I had already done the voiceovers where it was like, this is day 18 or this is day, 12. And frankly, I just couldn't be bothered like redoing the voiceovers. And I don't think it really mattered at all in the end, because, those recipes would have been included in the series at some point. It's just that at the beginning, like the videos weren't doing quite so well. And I felt like that like insecurity coming on, because the initial day 0 video that I posted, which is like a backstory about my challenge, my struggle in that first year of motherhood and everything, that converted so well to followers, like outstandingly well, more so than any video I've ever posted. And I think it is because people really related to it at a deeper level than they ever would like from a recipe. Like recipe content can be it's really great because people save it, they share it. It's a clear value add for the viewer. However, it can be quite transactional, because they're a little bit like, oh, well, like, it doesn't really matter who the person was that was sharing the recipe with me. Like they don't necessarily have a reason to follow, unless that situation is that they want to keep getting recipes from you. Sorry, that's a reason for them to follow. But this was like a much deeper connection, where it was like I was clearly speaking to a group of women, or connected with a group of women who had also at some point also felt that how fucking hard it is, frankly, to become a mum, and the fear of not knowing how you were going to balance, your life and your career and like your identity as a human being with being a mum. So that was extremely powerful. And I would definitely recommend, I guess, just reflecting, in your own life and like what challenges you have faced that might be something you could share as well with an audience, because I guarantee you, no matter what it is, somebody out there will have felt that. And it feels really ugly as well sometimes to like say these things, because you're like, oh God, like you know, I didn't want it to come across like I'm complaining about being a mum when there's so many people out there who would love to have children. And like, I didn't want it to be a video where my son one day like looks back and he's just like, wow, like you really like hated like, you know, your life when I came into it, because that's not it at all. But it did feel a little scary. So I guess it should be something that you do feel a little bit exposed about potentially, because that authenticity and that genuine vulnerability, I think, really does connect with people. In Sarah's example, like, if you haven't seen her content before, she stopped being vegan. Like, we were both vegan. That's how we kind of met, because we were in that vegan influencer circle back in the day. And she stopped being vegan and got a shitload of hate for that online. So in her initial video, it talked about like all of the crap basically that she went through after she stopped being vegan. In her situation, that was actually like kind of harder for her in a way, because she got more shit again from that video. Whereas for me, I feel like I was lucky in the sense that I got an overwhelmingly positive response from sharing my struggle about being a mum. So it's like, it depends how provocative, I suppose, or controversial the topic that you're talking about is. If it is a little more controversial, though, like Sarah's video, her initial one got like 7 million views, which is just wild. Mine, I think, is at like the high 3 millions or something like that now on Instagram. So controversy is really good for engagement, I guess, is the only thing I would say, although it can be quite anxiety inducing if you are getting a lot of like mixed responses. I personally just stopped looking at the comments, to be honest. Anyway, I can't remember where I was going with all of this, to be honest. I guess I just feel like this is a kind of interesting time, and like, sorry, I'm going through an interesting time doing this project, and I think so many other creators could benefit from it. I don't really have a great amount of time at the moment, obviously, to like do like some deep dive or like course or ebook or anything like that. But I did want to share, like, I guess a bit why I'm doing it and how it might help you. And what you could like learn from it as well. I'll keep doing like little updates as I go. At the moment, like what I'm seeing work is like, well, any recipe that's like gooey, first of all, like if you're a recipe creator, anything that's like wet or like a sauce or something, or like that first initial like clip is so important. And yeah, anything saucy that just looks like, that always does really well. Gooey, sticky, and the actual like kind of food can almost look a little gross in a way, I think sometimes. And as long as it looks, sorry, it doesn't look gross, but what am I trying to say? Sometimes it looks a little messy, but I find those ones are actually the videos that do the best. Like I did one recently, which was like this cookie dough. It's like a cookie dough oats for breakfast, but it's like a batter. And it's sort of like this gooey, sticky looking kind of jar full of oats with like chocolate chips on top. And it's like me like stirring the batter, and it looks really gluggy and thick, and like you could see in a way how it's like probably not like the most aesthetic video at the start, although the sunlight's very nice in that video, I would say. Anyway, I'm rambling. If you make food that looks really gooey and decadent and yummy, not necessarily decadent, healthy works as well. If you do, just do something liquidy, just do something saucy in the opening video, or like something textural, like crispy, or like if there's no texture, then like do like the food sliding into the frame, like lots of movement, lots of engagement, I guess, in that as a visual hook. What else am I finding that's working? I mean, I guess day 29 was yesterday. I've got to do a voiceover today for day 30. The kinds of recipes that work really well, I think, are the ones, like I said, that are really visually appealing, the gooey factor. So the ones that have performed the best are like, or crispy, date caramel oats. People love oats as well. Just do oats recipes, they're so easy. Date caramel oats with like a smash top, cookie dough oat batter, chocolate chia mousse. That one has done the best for me, I would say. Like it's done so well, and it consistently across all platforms. Probably because it's so simple as well. It's just like a 5-ingredient recipe. Tofu schnitzel is a repost of a very viral video that I'd had earlier. I just like reshot some of the clips where I'm like cooking in it so that it like looks refreshed. I also did one which was like these crispy sesame rice paper rolls, which was a viral TikTok trend, and they're very crispy looking, so that's and they're visually kind of cool looking because they got black and white sesame seeds on the outside, and they're like kind of these spring roll looking type shape things, and you're like, ooh, what's that, when it slides onto the screen. I did like a zucchini chocolate bread kind of thing, like a chocolate zucchini bread recipe, and that one did quite well too. I think people seem to like the zucchini recipes, I would say, generally speaking. That's a very broad statement, but there are some vegetables and foods that do seem to be very popular, like cauliflower is one. Pumpkin does quite well. I hadn't really tried many recipes with zucchini before, but I think zucchini could be one too. What else do people love? People love pasta recipes. People love anything that is bright green. If you can add a lot of color to your dish, that helps too. People love creative things to do with tofu as well, like things that they're not familiar with. Yeah, those are the ones that are doing really well. The actual length and format of the videos is pretty similar to my usual style. They're around like anywhere from like 15 to 25 seconds. I have been playing with some slightly longer ones. And the voiceover typically does start with like I'm posting a recipe every day for 100 days, and this is number 28 or this is number whatever. And then I am trying to close most videos with a call to action at the end for people to follow me. I do think that makes a huge difference in terms of the actual conversion of viewers to followers. And I have been toying a little bit with like introducing myself to, like, sometimes I'll do, if you don't know me, my name's Liz and I make plant-based eating simple, something like that. I got a new agent recently, like a manager, and she did say to me that people do seem to love when there is you have your kind of tagline almost as an influencer where you're like, I'm Liz and I do this or blank. But I don't really feel like I have a clear definition of what it is I do, so I don't use that on every single video as like a signature or anything, but it's something I've been experimenting with. Yeah, that's kind of it. I will keep updating. Hopefully I'll be consistent at giving you guys a little bit of an update and a behind the scenes. If you have any questions specifically, let me know. I think that's it. Oh, I am scheduling the videos as well, I should say that. I don't schedule them on Instagram anymore. I did schedule them initially because Instagram, the Meta Business Suite compresses the quality of the video, and so they upload looking like dog's breakfast on Instagram, which pisses me off because obviously I've spent so long making the video only for it to be looking like potato quality by the time it uploads. So I don't do that for Instagram anymore. However, it doesn't seem to be an issue on Facebook. So I schedule everything on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. TikTok I kind of sometimes schedule, sometimes I don't. But I do schedule everything on Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest. Oh my God, what else is there? I was posting a little bit on X, which is like Twitter, but I mean, I have literally no followers on there. That was more for a Google SEO kind of Google figuring out who I am kind of thing. It can help to have your same profile kind of across every social media is what I'm trying to say. What else? And also on Instagram, the reason that I post natively from my phone, on there now too, is because you couldn't select any trending audio when you post from the business suite. Or rather you can, but I've had glitches where the audio, the voiceover audio will, the original audio on my video will be completely muted, and it will just be a song. So I don't think trending audio is really essential though. It can help, definitely adds a little bit of a vibe if you like the song. Yeah, it's mostly because of the quality. That's the reason that I post directly on Instagram now. Although I would say it is a drainer, posting, every single day, because I try to post at the same time around 6:30 p.m. my time, and it's literally after I've got Ollie to bed, and I end up just taking so freaking long on my phone to post. It can take me half an hour to post. I don't know why I am like this, but I just get very distracted easily. Yeah, TikTok, I was scheduling through a third-party app called SmarterQ, which is what I use for Facebook as well, which is actually excellent for Facebook. And if you do have a blog and you're trying to drive traffic to a blog, Facebook's amazing and so underrated, I think, for traffic driving, because you can include links in the caption, in the description, and they work, unlike Instagram, where it's just such a battle to get people off the app. And people complain even when, you offer to do the mini chat thing where you put recipe and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah. Oh, One other important thing, sorry, I'm just rambling at this point. I really should have written some notes, but anyway, hopefully this is interesting. One big part of like my reason for doing this as well was that I wanted to obviously reconnect and like revive my Instagram account, and kind of, it felt like such a weight lifted off my shoulders, to be honest, to know that I can now talk about my actual life without like losing like followers by the, you know, hundreds or thousands every day, every time I post about my baby. So it's like kind of like clearing out the people who don't want to hear about my real life and bringing in the new who do. So that feels really good. But another part of this was that I wanted to grow my email list, because I'm just so conscious of the fact that like any day, like your account could be deleted on Instagram or TikTok or wherever it is that you are creating content. So I, as part of the challenge, offered to email everybody a recipe every single day, or I also had a weekly option where you could get like a summary of all the recipes. And that does add extra work. I'm not gonna lie, it definitely adds a bit of extra work. However, I've grown my email list from 6,000 followers to now 21,000 followers. And this is like, as I 29 days. And I do think most of that has come from the initial video that I posted, and that initial video actually in terms of the follower growth, because I'm now at like 437k followers when I checked. I'm growing by about, the highest day was like 12,000 new people, but just pretty consistently like over the last, since I started the challenge, pretty consistently between 5,500, actually there was one low day of like 4,700, but between like 5 and 10,000 new followers a day. So I'm hoping that I'll hit 500k followers by Sunday. And every week I've been getting like, it varies, but like 2 to 3.5, sometimes 4,000 subscribers to my email list every week. So my email list was 6,000, is now 21,000, just shy of 21,000 too. And I think that's really important, because I don't have anything to sell at the moment. I am just giving people recipes for free, directing them to my website. So I do make a small amount of money per view on there, but I'm just conscious that I don't have a guaranteed line of communication with any of these people that I'm building relationships with. The only true audience that you own is your email list. Even blog traffic, you don't own that traffic, because if it came from Google, if it came from Pinterest, if it came from Instagram, wherever it came from, if you don't get their details and like if you can't contact them again, then they're gone, you know? So I just like, I like the idea that I have like a real connection with my community. And I think there's nothing like getting a personal note. It's like getting a handwritten letter from somebody in your email. So that's really nice. And I could do more, I think, to like share more behind the scenes, more like I'm catching up with a friend in my email list, because that's really what I want it to be. At the moment, it probably is a little bit too transactional and like, here's the recipe. And I do give a little bit of a backstory to the recipes, like what inspired it, or like, you know, a little bit about like, you know, my life, maybe behind the scenes, or what I'm doing, or like trying to get back into fitness, stuff like that. But it's very short at the moment, and I think I could go deeper with that audience too. I see a lot of creators using Substack now. I personally don't, I'm not that familiar with Substack. I've had a couple of subscriptions, but they've been more to like fashion people, or like just like writers who I really liked the topics that they were writing about, like Catherine Ormerod, I think that's how you pronounce her surname. She's a British writer who I subscribed to for a while, because she just felt like every email she'd send, it was just like very vulnerable, and also like just so articulate. And anyway, there are recipe creators though who do use Substack as like a membership platform where you can charge like, you know, people seem to charge around like anywhere from $5 to $11 a month Australian on Substack, and you can email out your recipes that way. I just don't think it really translates that well. Like, it's not really like, I don't know, do I want to pay that much money for like my recipes on email? Like, it's not a very organized way to like access them. But maybe like if you were to do this challenge, like if you were to replicate this yourself and you wanted to include the email kind of collection component as part of it, I definitely would recommend that. You could look at doing like a Substack kind of starting it off on Substack from the very beginning, and that way you could, you know, establish that, I guess, with your audience, that maybe that's how you share your recipes. I do think it's a great way to, if you don't have a website, like, and if you can't earn money from ad placement on your website, Substack probably is an excellent alternative, and probably honestly a more lucrative alternative. Like, even if you had like a few hundred people who were paying $8 a month, like that's great money, right? So I guess I'll leave it there because I really need a drink of water. It's half an hour, and I really did not intend for this to be half an hour. But if you have any questions, as I said, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. I'll do a little update, I guess, as to how it's going sometime. I'm not sure when, sometime. I actually also, speaking of email list, if you want to hear from me, I'm going to make a little like sign up as like, where you can drop your email if you're a creator. I don't know if I'm going to be able to maintain this, guys. I really don't. But if you want to hear from me with like behind the scenes updates on like how creator stuff is going, you can sign up there. Sorry, you will hear from me. You will hear from me. I will let you know next time I do a video if you sign up to that email list, and I'll give you a little behind the scenes as to like what's what and what's working and things like that. Mostly because it can be really lonely doing this sometimes, and it's nice to have a bit of a community. So maybe I'll make it a Substack. I think that's all. Have a great day. If you're feeling a bit shit about where your socials are at, know that you can literally tap into this like format anytime. It is a big undertaking, so don't go into it if you can't follow through, because that would be shit for you and everybody else. But if you want to massively grow your audience, I think it's an awesome way to do it, and I will be here to tell you how it all goes. I can be the guinea pig. Well, actually, Sarah was the original guinea pig, but yeah, you know. All right, bye.